We're gonna help you win in the UFC, and we're gonna start right now. One of the biggest things that I learned from being at the Olympics this past year in Paris, walking through and being around some of the best wrestlers on the planet. And one of the big lessons I learned from coaching Nick Gwiazdowski to 2 world bronze medalists, and then also helping Carmelo Morero when he beat Czech Congo in the UFC, is that a lot of the fight game comes back to endurance, power output from striking, and also how frequently you can throw hands. Okay, so when we're looking at the best way to win in the UFC, the first thing that I think we should do is look at this sweet breakdown of what fights actually look like from research, from science. And some of the really cool aspects go back to, in 2004, an average fight lasted about 7 minutes and 55 seconds. By 2015, that fight length period was 10 minutes and 54 seconds. So we saw that dramatic increase in the overall time. Now, another cool stat that I want to look at is that if we scroll down and we start to look at just one of these quick takes, okay, the average bout duration in the UFC today is usually around 10 minutes and 43 seconds. An interesting side factor is that if we're looking at the average fight for a heavyweight, and then as we start to drop down by weight class, as we drop down, we will see an incremental increase of about 30 seconds in fight length per weight class. So if we go from a heavyweight to a light heavyweight, down to 185 and down to 170, down to 155, each time you're adding about 30 seconds to the fight. So we have to understand what that means. If we're looking at the average fight being, anywhere in general now, we have to prepare like, okay, let's look at this and say average fight could be anywhere from 8 minutes all the way up to 15 minutes. Obviously, if we're in a championship bout, it's going to be even longer, but based off of stats, this is what we're going to be looking at. One of the other aspects around fighting in the UFC and around how fights are actually finished is that we have to understand the percentage per weight class. So right here we can see the heavyweight has the highest KO, TKO percentage, around 60% of those. And it decreases as we look at different weight classes. So about 73.5% of heavyweight bouts are finished before it goes to the judges. Okay, so that they're finished before the full time. 3/4 of them. Okay, if we look at the 155 pounds of lightweights, about 50% of them are finished before it goes to the judges. And then if we look at the flyweight, the 125, about 39.7% are finished before it goes to the judges. So we've got to keep that in the back of our mind. KOs are about 60% for heavyweights. We go all the way down to those flyweights, it's going to be about 20.5%. So as you get lighter and lighter and lighter, it becomes less likely that there will be a KO or TKO or even a submission. I think some of the other factors here is that when we're looking at specific finishes, okay, so if we're looking at the finish type by weight class here, we can see, all right, well, based off of this, the most common submission is going to be a rear naked choke or a guillotine, something along those lines. Those are the 2 most common. Rear naked choke is still the most common. Then if we're looking at the KPIs per weight class, okay, so this is the big one here. I want to look at, all right, strikes landed, significant strikes landed. Those are going to be huge factors. Then ground control. What does that look like? Okay, and then what I like to do is I'm looking at this paper, I'm thinking through work rates for striking. And if we look at, okay, strikes per minute has doubled over the last 10 to 12 years. So strikes per minute has increased drastically. So how can we train a fighter to increase their striking output, to increase their significant strikes, to maintain their endurance for minimum of around, at the very least 15 minutes? I would argue you should be preparing for, I know you're not going to have a 30-minute fight, but you should be preparing so that you can handle a longer fight. So then we can start to look at, all right, strikes per minute has drastically gone up. If we increase our strikes per minute and we increase our technique so that we have better striking capability, that's going to increase our likelihood of winning. So what goes into that? That's a big question mark. Okay, then we go into, okay, rear naked chokes, guillotines, all of these other submissions. Those 2 are still the most popular. There's a whole bunch of other aspects that go into that as well. So then we can look at, all right, well, there's got to be a skill around BJJ, obviously, and then how does that factor into the endurance? That could also backdoor us to increase our strikes per minute. Then we could look at 75% or around, I think it was 73.5, somewhere around that, 75% of the best KPIs for winning, 75% are related to striking. So that's another big factor when we're thinking about training. Okay, so those are some of those key aspects that I want to hold in the back of my mind when I'm building out a strength training program, when I'm building out a system to get a fighter to win. So if we can understand strikes, we can understand strikes per minute. We need to have this crazy endurance. We need to be super, super explosive. We don't want to be super hypertrophic. We want to factor in then in training, we're going to need some zone 2 work that's going to be long duration. We're going to need interval work. We're going to need strength work to be as strong as possible, but we don't want to have too much hypertrophy, okay, because we don't want to be wasting too much time or wasting too much energy trying to recover within the fight. Okay, so we have to have the endurance high, power output has to be high, we have to be extremely explosive, and we have to be fast. Because if we're fast, we can throw more punches, we can get out of the way a little bit more effectively, we can be on the defensive more. So that's going to lead us into first assessing a fighter. So if we take this information from that research, okay, now we can look at this and say, okay, let's look at an actual assessment week. So we bring a fighter in, okay, and we're gonna look at some of the KPIs in the gym. The first thing that I would argue is that if we're thinking about building a fighter, if I want them to be as explosive as possible, extremely explosive, they can jump high, they can bound far. I'm thinking about George St. Pierre, right? He would use power snatches, he would use power cleans. So we can test a power clean. We also know that the usage of technical coordination exercises, a power snatch, a power clean, it's done in a sport with body weight classes. So why aren't we using this for fighting? It's actually done. We can see athletes that have insane pound for pound strength, and that's the big thing that we want to develop in a fighter. So we can test a power clean. We know it's going to increase their rate of coordination, it's going to increase their neural drive. Then we can look at a back squat. We know based off of past history, past research, that a back squat actually increases kicking power in Muay Thai fighters. So that's another thought process. Then we can get into some of the endurance. All right, I want to actually test out in a fighter, if we go out, we run 3 1-mile intervals. Okay, so I want them to run a 1 mile, rest 3 to 5 minutes, run a 1 mile, rest 3 to 5 minutes, run a 1 mile. I want this to see, okay, can they hold a specific time frame based off of their body weight? And we should have benchmarks based off of 155, 170, 185, 205 heavies. Okay, then we can look at that. That's that first step. This is going to be our assessment for an upper body session. Now we want to test, all right, let's look at their vertical jump. Let's see how high they can jump. Let's see how rapidly they can coordinate. Let's test their bench press, but we don't want them to be doing tons and tons of reps. We want more explosive work on the bench or on a dumbbell. We want it as quick as possible. Okay, rapid, 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 because I believe that will lead to better striking capability, more powerful hands. Now, I then want to compare the intervals of a mile test, so those 3 1 miles, those intervals, and then I want to compare them to an actual 5K. So if I can get a fighter to go run a 5K and then I can compare their intervals, I can start to see the difference between their threshold and how well they function with their threshold versus a higher intensity, and basically where they're going to have a larger amount of lactic acid development, because we want to help their body utilize that lactic acid as well as possible. It's good if they have lactic acid and they know how to use it. Okay, then we're going to get into that impulse day, so we can test a power snatch, broad jump, single leg squat. Okay, if I'm looking at an athlete with their single leg squat and I can see their unilateral strength is good, their pound for pound strength will be good, and they're going to be able to move really well inside of the ring. Okay, their broad jump is going to show us how well they coordinate. Their power snatch is going to show us how well they can move weight fast. If they can move weight quickly, then that's going to transfer really well inside the ring. And then we can go into actually recognizing that at the end of this assessment week, we need to make sure that we're improving their mobility. We need to constantly be attacking that every single day, which is why inside of our strength training app, Peak Strength, we have mobility programs done every single day for your specific task. So inside of Peak Strength, you can go to peakstrength.app, the Google Play Store or the Apple iOS Store. You can select that you want to train as a combat athlete. Then when you're in that combat program, you execute this assessment week, we can see where you're at. You make sure that you're doing the mobility, because you need to be very mobile while being as explosive as possible, while having that good endurance. And then after we do that assessment, we go into the actual first week of training. And so that's where I want to go now, is that I want to show you guys what that first week of training might look like. And one of the things that we do with the South Dakota State Wrestling program is that typically we're gonna do a lift on a Monday, a Wednesday, and a Saturday. And then we're gonna do endurance work on, like, let's say a Tuesday and a Wednesday, or a Tuesday and a Thursday. And one of the things that we like to do is I will plan the amount of endurance work based off of the sparring that they're doing in the wrestling room. So sparring for a wrestler might be like flow wrestling, 30 to 45 minutes of just flow wrestling. And then we're gonna do some interval work with breaking down, okay, now we're doing live drilling. And then outside of the wrestling room, we're gonna factor in, okay, let's have 1 to 2 days where we do 3 by 7 minutes on the assault bike, and we try to establish a baseline for them to get to with distance and with calories to achieve on the assault bike. Okay, and then if they feel all right, they need to get into the sauna 4 days a week, and then ideally there's one long run on a treadmill or something like that if they have the energy, if they feel okay. The way this week is laid out with strength work is we're gonna start with that lower body strength work on day one. So we're gonna go into the weight room, we're gonna focus on a good general warm-up. So we'll have the general warm-up laid out right here, so you guys can follow through this good general warm-up right here, and then they're gonna get in, they're gonna do some power cleans, some front squat. The whole goal is to improve their relative strength. Pound for pound strength is key. Get into some single leg squats, some core work here, some walking dumbbell lunges, some back extension to strengthen their lower back, and then some more core work. Okay, so that's what that's gonna look like. Then again, we're gonna hit that mobility every single day. Now, day two, we are doing some form of long distance running. They're gonna go out, they're gonna run a 5K. If they feel better, they can run 5 miles. And we wanna just see, can they handle 50 to 60 minutes of work? They could get on the assault bike for 50 to 60 minutes, but we wanna make sure that their heart rate is around 140 to 150. Most of the time, combat athletes, somebody who's winning inside the UFC, they should be able to hold a pretty steady pace, and their heart rate shouldn't skyrocket too high. We should know where their max heart rate is, and this should still stay around that zone 2 time frame. So that's day 2, that long distance. Day 3, I wanna do a little bit of upper body work. I wanna focus on some shoulder strength. I wanna focus on how well they can put out a large amount of force in a short period of time on the bench press. So something like unbroken bench press, okay? Anything like that, speed bench, pad bench, explosive push-ups, push-ups to boxes. But I wanna have some shoulder work as well so their shoulders stay healthy. That's a very common injury within combat fighting, within combat athletes. And then finally, we've got to hammer pull-ups. I think for every combat athlete out there, somebody who's under 205 should be able to bust out 20 to 25 pull-ups on the regular. Okay, that's gonna have a huge carryover of match strength. Now, that upper body work's done. Let's go out. We can either do some type of hill sprints, like 8 sets of 50 meters, right? That's some good hill sprint work. That's some good interval work. That's gonna help with their speed. That's gonna help with their lungs. Or they can get on the assault bike. 8 sets of 20-second goes, something like that, with about a 10 to 20-second rest period. Okay, that's gonna get their heart rate through the roof, drop back down, heart rate through the roof, drop back down. And we've gotta make sure that this is something that they would be doing more so in the off season as they're building that structure. Then when they get into that impulse work, think about impulse as moving weight fast. What's a key component to fighting, to winning in the UFC? You've got to be able to move your weight as quickly as possible and the weight of your opponent as fast as possible for at least 10 minutes and 54 seconds based off of that fight time. Obviously, we want to be able to go for 40 to 60 minutes with those sparring sessions. If we're doing grappling, we want some of that long duration, slow distance work, okay? But we also want the high speed interval work. We want the live drilling. We want to make sure that we can do that on an assault bike, on a rower, something along those lines. And a quick tip here, I believe the rower is one of the best ways. If you would go 5 sets of 4 minutes at around 32 to 35 strokes per minute the entire time, you will drastically increase your VO2 max because you're using more muscles when you're doing that, and you'll see that your heart rate skyrockets faster than doing anything else. Just want to throw that in there. Now, on an impulse day, we can do some type of power snatch. Thank George St. Pierre. Power snatch as fast as possible. We can do some mobility work with a pause back squat, and you can get an auditory command to drive up as fast as possible. Then you can start to get into, hamstring, like Nordic hamstring work. We can start to focus on hip extension and mobility throughout the hips with a Cossack squat as well. And then isometric lunge hops, mobility, has to be a key component here. Now, if we're in the off season and we have someone who's trying to go up a weight class, I would want them to do hypertrophy work. If they're trying to go up a weight class, they've got to dial in their nutrition and they can do more work in the weight room to help them get up to that next weight class. If we have somebody who is not going up a weight class, we need to continue to develop their explosiveness with jumps, with plyometric work, with extremely good movements like technical coordination exercises, and that's all gonna help them be able to put out more strikes per minute. Okay, that's gonna help them increase their interval work. It's gonna help them increase their work capacity with endurance based off of how we laid out this entire week. So I'm gonna go back. You guys are gonna be able to see this is the full workout split for each phase, okay? And that's how you're gonna attack that week of work. But the big factor here is this assessment week. The assessment week's gonna show us where you're at with that 1 mile versus a 5K and where you might have some weaknesses, and then you're just gonna constantly pick away at these things and continuously develop to be an absolute freak. Head over to peakstrength.app, the Google Play Store or the Apple iOS Store, download Peak Strength, get into that combat program, because remember, freaks, if you wanna become a champion, you've always gotta cultivate your power. Peace.